Appreciate it. Rodney James here in Las Vegas for UFC 245 Fight Week. I'm here with Ben Saunders, who's taking on Matt the Immortal Brown. How you doing, Ben?
Good. Doing real good.
So let's just talk about your opponent first and foremost. I mean, you guys have this in common. I don't think I've ever seen a fight that wasn't. I don't think you guys have ever put on a boring fight. You're both exciting fighters. You both love to go for the finish. You're very creative, super durable, and you're wily veterans that have been doing this for a long time, man. How do you feel about this matchup? When they approached it to you, did you kind of have the same impression that I just described?
Pretty much, man. Like, it was no-brainer. The second I got the name, I was like, let's go. Then they told me the location and the date. I didn't care about any of that. I just, man, like, in this game, I'm trying to fight the best I can possibly get my hands on, and when you're a veteran like Brown and you got a name like Brown, that's motivation. And again, the longevity that we have in the game, I feel it can kind of get a little watered down as far as when you're getting up-and-comers or you're getting people that maybe everybody's super skilled and talented, but if you're not getting a name that is a big name at my level, it can kind of mess with a little bit of motivation. I'm always a hard worker, and I'm always going to train hard and come in to train or come in to win. But when you get a legit name that you're excited about, knowing the fans are going to be excited about it, and then the fans actually are as excited, if not more excited than even you are, there's no better motivation.
Well, and the other thing too, I was just thinking about this. I mean, we have to address the elephant in the room. Of course, no disrespect. We know how this game goes. You lost 3 in a row by finish. In a way, I feel like that makes you a little more dangerous, because I feel like you go in this knowing, hey, this is kind of a do-or-die situation. I'm going up against a well-known, beloved guy, and what better way to make that statement than to go and finish him?
Yeah, I mean, most people don't know, but I feel I go into every fight almost feeling like it's my last, or it damn sure could be my last. Just making it to the fight is, I guess you could say, a blessing, because so many things happen, man, where people get camps that are like 8 to 10 weeks, and then an injury or something happens, they have to pull out, and that sucks. But I'm thinking, like, worst case scenario, what if I get hit by a car? What if, something happens where it's either a career-ending injury, or even worse, I die? So when I go out there in my head, I'm thinking, what if this is possibly the last thing anybody ever remembers me for? Give it 110%, and I feel I'm pretty good at doing that almost every time.
Yeah, and that's why you're exciting. And like I said, you got a lot of finishes because you're a guy that does take risks, and those are some of the most prolific fighters in the long run. People remember those highlight reels more so than they do somebody that has maybe a ton of wins, but they didn't finish a lot of fights.
Right.
So you really pride yourself on that.
Right,
clearly.
Right. It's like maybe your highlight isn't going to be that great, even though you got a great record. And honestly, it's always kind of been that way. When I got into this sport, since day one, I mean, I took a fight on my first fight was 3 days notice. And I thought I won it. It ended up being a draw. I felt I learned everything you would learn from a loss without getting a loss. And then it was kind of like, all right, we got fight of the night. And so, like, my first official professional fight was like, oh, damn, you're here to entertain. So it was like, win, lose, or draw, you're going to get a fight. That's for damn sure. That's what I'm 100% going to bring to the table. I know anything can happen in the fight game. That's why I don't bet on fights. I have tons of knowledge in the fight game, and I can make predictions. But as far as actually putting money down, you never know. Because there's also a bunch of things that most analysts or most people aren't kind of looking into, because it's not something they know about. And that is like, what's happening in their personal life? How did their training camp go? How did their weight cut go? Is there injuries? There's so many things that play a role on top of just their skill set on fight night that I can't really, I try not to put too much pressure on just the win itself, as much as being entertaining, man. Like, I think that's a big part of the sport. I thought that was going to be the fastest and quickest way for me to get to the big show the second I started was if I come and bring a show. If I bring a show every time, they're going to want me. And I was very fortunate because I ended up being undefeated. I ended up being a welterweight champion, and then I got on The Ultimate Fighter. So my plan worked. And, I mean, yeah, my record, look at it, but there's a reason I'm still here. And I think for sure it's because of my style and my skill set.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I wish you the best of luck, and I thank you so much for your time. Ben Saunders, everybody, taking on Matthew Immortal Brown this weekend, UFC 245. For Cage Side Press, I'm Rodney James.